Test, test, test. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna open up a paletteful box. Ooh, and see what's in it. Gotta get used to this new chair. What's an old chair? It's Mookie's old chair. All right. Let's. Ooh, I'm gonna have a thunderstorm right now. Alright, so I got this paletteful box from my friend. She is very kind to get me a paletteful box, and I have not opened it yet, even though this is from June. I'm really excited about this, though. Ooh. Look at these things. I've been so excited because, like, Casey Golden always talks about these things, and I, ooh. Ooh, what are these? Watercolor ink. All right, this sounds awesome. Okay. Can you even see my face? Okay, so I have brown. It looks really green. Okay. This one is called Dunkelbraun. And I have cyan, mint. That is very green. Black. Oh, that's a really pretty color. Magenta. Man, there's so many. Citron. Carmine red. bunch of these things. Oh my goodness, more stuff. Gosh, there's so much stuff in here. Okay, I got a fine liner. Okay, so 0.2, 0.4, 0.8, and a brush nib of the fine liner graphics. No, this is May. Hello. I have never gotten a paletteful box before, and my friend got this for me, and I haven't checked it out before. So, hello, welcome. This is the May paletteful box. So I wanted to find out what it's like. So far, I've gotten a bunch of these aqua ink graphics colors. It's really cool. All right, and then some fine liners. A nice round brush with, what number is this? It's a 3 round. And then this is a 6 round. I think what Paletteful usually does is they'll pack it full of like something that you can actually make something out of. So like I got all these like watercolor inks, brushes, fine tip pens, and then I think the last thing is this mixed media. So it's like a so looks like a pretty good stock. It's 184 pounds mixed media. There's 6 by 8. Yeah, they've got some good, it's definitely nice material. And it comes in this cute little box. So it's supposed to, inspire you to do some more art. And I was kind of like, I've been waiting for a day where it's like, I don't know what to paint. And so now I have this to paint. All right, so I'm gonna like do some experiments first. I have no idea if this stuff needs, yeah, who doesn't love new stuff, new art stuff? Okay, so the Aqua Ink 15 milliliters, 8 colors. They're light, fast, pigment-based watercolor inks with concentrated colors that are both naturally transparent and ultra brilliant. Try your favorite watercolor techniques with a brush or make bold lines with a dip pen. Even when dry, the colors can still be dissolved with water to create interesting translucent effects. Shake rigorously before use. And they say their retail value is like $23.92. I don't know how much. My friend got this for me as a birthday gift a long time ago. And I still haven't opened it. But now I have. Why, thank you very much, ZimmerTracks32, for following. So that's these things. I bet they're like pretty concentrated. It doesn't seem like you need to add water, but I might add some water just to see what it's like. And then got the fine liners. All right, 4 fine liners. So this set of 4 high-quality black ink pens is ideal for illustrations, sketches, fine art, cartooning, lettering, and more. Water-based, water-soluble, low-odor ink that will not bleed through most papers. Perfect for pen and ink washes. Brush with water to blur and shade the lines. Oh, so they are water-soluble. Yeah, they're water-soluble. So, that's interesting. I'm surprised they didn't give me non-water soluble, alcohol based. But that's interesting. So I probably will want to use those afterwards. I don't know if I really like the way it works. I don't know, we'll see. All right, and then Princeton Art Brush Velvet Touch. I love the feel of like brand new art supplies. It's like New art supplies. This is wonderful. Let's see if I can get it out. Alright, so the flat, I love flat brush. Oh, they are really soft. It's a next generation premium quality mixed media brush. Blend of synthetic is unique to each individual shape to enhance performance. Comfort is already ensured with the brush's smooth signature velvet touch handle. Oh, it does actually have a nice handle. I'll probably destroy it soon. Knowing me, I'm terrible with my art supplies. So yeah, so I got a flat tip, or a 6 flat, and then a 3 round. So not bad. Okay, and then this pad features paper that combines true wet media performance and a dry media finish that is suitable for a range of mixed media applications. Each pad includes 15 heavyweight 140-pound sheets intended for finished paintings, drawings, or studies. The paper is acid-free and specially sized for wet media performance with a vellum finish that is excellent for drawing. Ideal for watercolor, gouache, acrylic, graphite, pen and ink, colored pencils, marker, pastel, and collage. All right, so it's somebody who's good at math. Is anyone good at math? I'm not. I'm terrible at math. But it says like the inks were worth $23.92, then it's $6.99, $7.95, and then $5.29. I don't know how much paletteful does cost, but because my friend got it for me, and I'm very grateful. All right. Let's try these out. Ooh, I'm excited. Okay. So let's test them first because I want to see what these things do. All right. I was most excited by this one. All right. So this is a magenta. Okay. Oh, it's so bright. Oh, did I shake it well enough? I probably didn't shake it well enough. See if that makes a difference. Okay, then let's see with some water. Okay. Man, it stains the things pretty fast. Like the brush is already kind of pink. All right. What color should I try next? Well, I should try this. Okay, so this one's the 0.2. Why, thank you for following, Bliffon. Bliffon? It's a nice tip. So then it like, but since it's water soluble, yeah, so then it just sort of, I don't really like water soluble pens. Still, they're really nice, so I definitely can do something with them afterwards. It's got, so this is the 0.8. And this is the 0.4. Doesn't do a lot of bleed, which is good. It looks like really thin ink. Okay, so this is the brush. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I really like it. I wonder if that happened just because it had, like, it was still kind of wet. Well, the good news is that, you know, this is all stuff that I definitely will use, and as a watercolor artist, normally, it's nice to have these things. Interesting, so they have prompts. That's cute. So I can like do like a little prompt. Granted, this is also like, you know, this is the May paletteful pack, and I'm opening it in July, but whatever. So there's Jellyfish Throne, Bloom, and London. I almost want to, like, I think of like especially with these colors, I don't know, they're not like that sea-like. I don't really get sea from them since there's only like one green and one blue. I don't really think like sea. But I do like the little jellyfish thing. We can do some fun stuff with the jellyfish. I'm just remembering my friend who is a really great artist. She drew this beautiful picture of all these jellyfish like surrounding her. She hates jellyfish. Oh gosh. Let me see. All right, this is my tester page. I almost feel like these things, like, these seem like, ooh, a bird. I could do a bird. Like, these things, like, seem like I'm going to have to save these for some sort of art supplies. I'm an art teacher. I teach elementary art. I'm like, these look like things I will definitely take and do things with later. With students, they would love these things. Just paper. I mean, kids are always so creative with stuff. They can come up with some different things. Okay, a bird. I could do a hummingbird. Now look at some pictures. My mom is actually a birder, and she has some amazing photos of birds. So let me see. If I can see. Any good photos. Of course, she's been taking pictures of these little burrowing owl babies. But I have permission to always use anything that she has. Ooh, that's a pretty thing. We have some really good colors here that would match that bird. That's a pretty good bird. I've painted the lark bunting before. Oh, that's really pretty. And then there's blooms. There we go. I'll do this one. And I can still use the pens later. Woo! We got this. We got this. So yeah, I am honestly, usually on Sundays I do like an educational stream. Just wasn't really feeling it today. But yes, since you're following me now, usually on Sundays I do a educational stream, and if you would like to, like if you have any art education questions, or like any questions that I can help you with if you are interested in art, or if you know, feel free to ask questions. And if you do get on my Discord, then you can request like what video and whatnot I can do on Sundays. So add just a little bit of water to these because they seem really strong. Oh, yeah. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay, I'm gonna have to try the other route. I only have one of these though. You do digital as a hobby? Oh, that's awesome. I am not very good with digital art. Oops, going the wrong way. I've been trying to learn because I'll be teaching photography this next year. So I really need to learn Photoshop, and I've been trying to. I'm gonna need more water. But I'm definitely more of a traditional artist. It's what I usually like to do. But man, those colors don't seem like, they seem pretty dang close. My goal is always to get a watercolor look because I love it so much. Yeah, watercolor looks are really wonderful. And I love, let me show you some of the watercolors. So I actually have some liquid watercolors that are probably similar to these things. This is like some that I did with just this little guy. This is just stuff that I did really quick. They were 2-minute paintings. Let me see if I have like, or not even. So I like doing kind of some things like that. Here's a more, that was one of the things that I did for my educational stream Sundays. Here's a little baby alpaca. Yeah, I love watercolors. Hi, Bubba's. Do you want to come say hi? I have my dog here. Come here. Come here. Oh no. Come say hi. Say hi. This is Butterscotch. He's my cute baby. He's definitely an inspiration. I just finished a painting of him. Force. Very good boy. Right. Oh yeah. What else I getting? He's a cutie. So you go for watercolor. So you created your own program. That's really neat. And you're doing like watercolor stuff. I really like this program called Art Rage. I've really enjoyed that one as far as one that kind of mimics a lot of the traditional textures. You do mostly landscapes, you avoid doing detail. It's good. All right. Well, if you feel like sharing something, please do so. If you have like an Instagram, I don't have a link thing. Just ask that you make sure that your links are appropriate and yeah, since I want my channel to be family friendly. I'm gonna have to change my water. Rebel is really good watercolor sim. I'll have to check that one out. All right. Gonna knock over my thing here. All right. I have to change my water before I start. All right, let me check your workout here. If it'll load. My computer's like, oh, nice. That's cool. And so you did this on the program that you created? That's really neat. I like the abstract fish too. Very neat. All right, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna change out my water since, you know, now it's like this color. Disgusting. You wanna go out too? So what is the app that you created called? I think I'm gonna do it this way. All right, I'm gonna start off with the bird body and do a wet wash first. So I'm gonna actually like get the area that I want wet. and see what happens there. I feel like it ends up with like a more natural growing, and I think that it looks really cool when it does that. So it kind of has a little more of a, I don't know, cooler look. Just growing the paint. So I always like it. Originally it was called Vermilion, now it's just the V. It's really limited, which is intentional, like no layers. Oh cool, so like it interacts like watercolor does, where it all kind of blends and bleeds together. That's cool. I'll have to try it out. All right. I'm gonna do probably some pretty watered down flower petals now. I'm hoping that since these are like watercolor inks, that they'll be a little bit more steadfast or light fast. So here's kind of hoping that that happens, like and what I might do is see what it looks like by seeing what it does when it's left out in water or in light for a long time. But that is one problem with especially cheaper watercolors, is that they do fade so quickly. So it's definitely one of my preferred mediums, but you have to buy like really high quality ones to not yeah, I'm not really sure how different it is. I mean, besides the fact that it is liquid, I mean, it's coming out as liquid as opposed to, you know, the tubes. I think because they're concentrated and ultra brilliant, I think it'll be a little bit, I don't know, I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit more, at least light fast. But I'm not really sure if it's any different, because it's definitely not interacting that differently from just watercolors. But like if you get like the dry watercolors like these ones, you know, these ones don't, you know, you don't get quite as bright of a color because it's without like with having that translucent thing. So I think that's kind of a big difference, is that the translucence is still really vibrant. Like when I just go straight for this color, it's a very vibrant color. But I'm not exactly sure if it really feels that different from a watercolor. It definitely feels like liquid watercolors. So I don't know if there's something that's different between a liquid watercolor and a watercolor ink. That's a good question, and I'll have to look it up. I will say that I like the brightness of the colors for sure, and that they still have that, like, you know, very translucent feel. That definitely does feel different than like your tube where you get brilliant colors, you know, but maybe a little thicker, a little less translucent. And they do a really nice bleed. We'll see if that ends up being that different. Let me know. I am trying to record this at the same time. Let me know if it is causing a lot of lag. That'd be helpful to know, and I can stop recording it. They do like have a little bit more texture to them. Okay, it seems good. All right, good, thanks. They pool a little differently than watercolors do, but pretty similar to my liquid watercolors. Yeah. Steve Cronin? I do not know Steve Cronin. That is one I'm not familiar with. But maybe, oh, do they do, does he do a lot of different things with, like paletteful or stuff like that? Because I know a lot of YouTubers, like I know I've always loved, Casey Golden does the paletteful a lot. I was trying not to mess that yellow up. It's a little bit brighter. Oh, nice. He just does like a quick one. Yeah, I really like doing speed paints too. like those ones that I was showing earlier. It's really nice to do ones that like you limit yourself and do something kind of silly, and get kind of lost in the painting. I love doing that stuff. But when it's a material I'm not quite familiar with, I kind of want to use a few more of the techniques. All right, I'll have to watch that. Thank you. I definitely still want to have like that like watercolor tech like feel to it. It does glaze really nicely. Like if you see that, it's glazing super nice. Which is I think that's one of the real good pluses to a liquid watercolor is the glazing that you can do. I'll have to put that on my docket to watch later. There's so many YouTube artists who do just phenomenal jobs, I'll tell you. So I'm glad to hear more people too and try and see new things whenever I can. Oh, that looks cool. All right. Kind of getting the darker part in there as it's still wet to see like how it crawls. I just really like to use watercolors, you know, take the the disadvantages of it, like the fact that it doesn't, you know, it bleeds a lot. That's something that I really like to do. You know, use the bleed in a natural way and let it do what it naturally does. I'm definitely a lot more of a looser artist. Yeah, but those are really bright. They're really, really bright ones. So that's good. I might zoom in a little bit on the painting here. So that it's easier to see. He also uses the same palette with only 6 colors on it. Nice. Yeah, limited color palettes are always really fun to play around with. I'm sure creating a limited program definitely can inspire creativity as well. I think sometimes setting some limitations can be very inspirational. Mm. Yeah, I think limitations can make one more creative. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's kind of the idea behind paletteful, is like this idea that sometimes a medium can be really inspirational, and kind of knock you out of that rut that you might be in. And I do think that that's a really cool idea, to have these like little, you know, surprise boxes. And I think that that makes it more, I should do a background color before I do all these. Because I think it's hard sometimes as an artist to come up with something like what you're gonna do, especially like because yeah, as opposed to having unlimited options, which can actually be roadblocks to creativity. Yeah, for sure, because it's definitely something we want. Like as an art educator, I want to give students the choice of what they're going to do so that they can develop their creativity. But I also recognize the fact that a lot of the times, given complete choice, can be really scary, and helping them. And that's why we have things like art challenges and things like that, that is to help us grow and become better artists. So I hope to provide choice in my programs that I teach, a lot of choice, but also giving them enough limitations to hone that creativity into a real good tool. But I think when you're younger, I think it becomes, creativity can come a lot more naturally to them. I think that sometimes creativity gets lost sometimes with our expectations and so much pressure to do something. As we grow older, we get more and more lost. So it's really sometimes fun to see kids and their unlimited power of creativity. I've been hanging out with my nieces all weekend long, and just their play is so creative. And they challenge me to be more creative. Oh. Let's see. Oh, take that off. No. Okay. Is that better? I don't know why my mic one went on. Come in, dog. You can sit at my feet, yes. Thanks for letting me know. See, I just love the way that watercolors just kind of bloom like that and bleed. It's my favorite thing to, it's so relaxing. Like, I think watercolor, as far as a medium goes, is so relaxing. I know it can be challenging as well for a lot of people because it doesn't do what you necessarily think it should do. This paper is holding up pretty well. I can definitely feel, no, it looks like I just, right. All right. I thought I turned the recording off. There. Okay. Let's see if that helps. I haven't really used many of the oranges yet. It's the art in water to make it do what you want. It's not necessarily do what you want. It's understanding. It's actually very close to how to deal with curly hair as well. You let it do what it wants. And if you know what it's gonna do, if you can predict what it's gonna do, then you can, work with it. It's cool that you do programming, though. That's a really neat thing to be able to do. There's a lot of trial and error in that, for sure. My husband doesn't do programming. He does just IT work, but I know how difficult that can be as well. I've tried to learn coding before and failed. Yeah, you just need to do it over and over and over again until you get good at it. It's true. And there's always new things to figure out too, and new ways to do it. That's one thing I love about art and teaching art, is that there's definitely going to be kids that and people that do things way different. There is no right or wrong with art. A bullock oriole. That's what I'm drawing right now. What bullocks? Birds have some of the weirdest names. Titmouse? What? I don't understand. Why would you name a bird a titmouse? Poor mouse. Poor bird. Get weird names like lark bunting. Okay, bunt. Bunt a bird? What? Grosbeaks? Oh, that's gonna bleed there. I do feel like this paper does have it is pilling just a little bit. Not too bad. Guess this would be a time to use like my fine liner thing. Sorry, dog. I'll just drop it right on my dog. Sorry, dog. So what got you into programming? Either art or computers, and my father said, well, you'll probably make more money with computers. And then you ended up using art to do some cool things with it too. So there you go. I can say I have not necessarily I really had no options that would make me money. Teacher or artist? Why not both? Exactly. You can still do that. You can still do art. And that's the beauty of being an artist, is you can still do art and you can still, you know, do all the things you want to do, while also, you know, paying the bills. Being an artist, there are definitely some people who are able to make it as artists and do, and I think that every job requires some creativity, and if you don't, you know, that's the thing that people need is that creativity. So I think that art can really provide that for so many people. A creative outlet as well as a tool that they can definitely use in whatever field they end up going into. Because I'm sure that you end up having to be pretty creative with your programming and all that stuff. I'm glad my dog is asleep, because he sometimes will howl. It's actually really adorable when he howls. frankly, the only reason you would need an art education is to show a piece of paper so you can work for someone else. Or so you can teach. I needed an art education so I could teach. And I think there's some things that I definitely learned, but nah. I think if I had gone to a, like, more, like a graphic design school or something like that, then it might have been a little bit more useful. But I still firmly believe that art should be in the K through 5 schools, not just because of my own job security. But because I think it's important for kids to have that outlet. And I think a lot of kids, there's so much that kids have to do things and follow certain rules. It's nice to have a class where they have to be creative and figure things out. Creative problem solving. And I think there's a lot of classes that do require some creative problem solving, but like I don't think there's quite one like art. But yes, I agree. A fine art degree is unless it's paired with something else, I don't know if I value the fact that I got a fine arts degree. But there are plenty of very talented artists who never went to school for it, and they do just fine. But I really wish I had gotten a little bit more in terms of like graphic design and such, especially as an educator, because it's definitely something that's a little harder for me to teach myself. Because I'm old school. I like brush to paper. I like the tangibility of it all. And the inability to, you know, the fact that I have to be okay with my mistakes and just change them. I like that very much. So I struggle a little bit with the whole digital. Ooh, that's a pretty purple. And these days, it's so easy to look anything up you want to know on YouTube. It's true. But then learning it, as someone who is trying to learn Photoshop a little bit better, it's definitely a struggle sometimes. Because there's a lot of, for the amount of high quality stuff there is, also just as poor quality. And you never know until you try it. Granted, the joy of having some people, you know, who've already seen things and they can vote on it and whatnot on YouTube and whatnot. But then you also end up missing probably like the little gems. The gems that aren't quite rock stars yet. Everybody's got to start somewhere, right? There are so many good artists out there. It's true. And there's so many like people who are creating like really valuable content. We live in a really cool time. The fact that we can do things, the fact that I mean, we're probably living in totally different places right now and we're having a great conversation. And that's really cool. It's one thing I love about Twitch is to be able to have these conversations with all these new people. That I would never otherwise interact with. And then get to see all these new things all the time and get good ideas. But it also then becomes harder to try and be original when you realize that originality is difficult. My students, the past couple of years, I've been teaching out in the middle of nowhere, and I've always asked them, like, okay, we do a sketch every day or every week. We do like, or every other week we did a sketch. And they could do it whatever they wanted. It was totally like whatever option they wanted. They could use whatever they wanted. I gave them a prompt list, but they didn't have to follow it. And the amount of kids that just looked up how to easy draw like things on YouTube and or Pinterest. And like there is definitely value in copying something. But then there's also the struggle of then they can't be like, okay, I made this. It's like, no, you've copied somebody else's work. Somebody else had the idea, and actually the original idea is the hardest part about being an artist, is like coming up with something that is creative and unique. And yes, everybody's artwork is going to look different. Like if somebody else had this reference photo that I was looking off of, their piece is going to look totally different from mine. And I really like that. But I think kids really struggle with being creative. Especially in a world where there is so much, like our worlds are like just out there. And so they struggle so much with these concepts, these big concepts of like, oh, well, if my piece doesn't look good, like, then I'm bad. I'm not good. I'm not good enough. And like there's so much value put on, especially like social media stuff. That looks really good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm liking it. It's definitely got a really bold color. It's very vibrant. So I really like the fact that it's really vibrant colors. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely nice to get something that I don't necessarily like. I'm not gonna pick up a bunch of brand new materials if I don't know if it works. So it's kind of nice to be sent supplies and get kind of inspired to do things because it's it, you know. I think there's some of it will be hard, you know. I'm sure if I got another box and it was full of materials that I will never use again, that would be really difficult. But I'll definitely use these things again because I'm a watercolor artist. For the most part. I do a lot of things. Trying to make the far away stuff. It's kind of blurry. I had the argument with a lady at work once. She said I had talent. She could never do what I do. I said, no, it just takes the inspiration to do it. The talent just comes along for the ride. Exactly. And also the practice. The amount of practice and effort that somebody puts in, it's like, oh yeah. Like a lot of kids are like, well, I can't do what so-and-so is doing. It's like, yeah, you know why? Because so-and-so goes home and she draws. And then, you know, at school she draws. And so and she's been drawing for like 4 years. And you only ever draw when you have to. Who's going to be better? Who's going to be better at art if you know, like the person who practices every day or the person who like first picks up a pen? One of my favorite quotes is to never compare your journey to somebody else's middle, like the beginning of your journey to somebody else's middle or end. It's not worth, like, yeah, of course your work is not going to be nearly as good as somebody else. because if somebody else has been doing it for years, of course they're going to be better. And even if somebody's been doing it for years and years, there's some people who will have their work look different. Like, there's some stuff that I look at and I'm like, wow, man, that person really, really understands that technique and knows how to do that. And you know what? There are times when I'm like, I could never do that. But there's a reason why I could never do that. And that's because I'm not going to necessarily focus on it. There's somebody else who's doing it really dang well. I don't need to. If I really, really wanted to, if I had the drive to do it, then maybe I would. But I don't have to. Oops. Oh well. Gonna try and up some contrast here. Get some dark leaves going. And there's definitely things that challenge me more than other things. And if I cared to figure them out, then I would. Yeah. Creativity is allowing yourselves to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. Absolutely. I've loved, there's actually a quote from Jake the dog from Adventure Time. It's, sucking at something is the first step to being really great at something. I love that quote. Because you'll never be able to be good at it unless you try. So or is it Blifton? Do you stream? Oh, my music just stopped suddenly. Oh, you do music too? Well, fun. What type of music do you like to make? I can't say that I'm very good at being a regular streamer. I've been trying to get more into it, but things just keep on coming up, and then I end up not being able to stream. So right now it's just I try to stream about 6 to 10 hours a week. And that's right now in the summer when I don't have students, when I'm not teaching. I think once I actually start teaching, I'll probably have a regular schedule, but it'll probably be like Sunday mornings and like one. Maybe I'll start doing something where I can figure out another different schedule, but for now it's just the rando times that I stream. VCV Rack. It's a virtual modular synth app. Fun. That sounds like fun. I'll have to look into that. You've given me lots of different things I need to look into. Your art, your drawing program. How much does your drawing program cost? I like singing, but I'm not. I'd like to learn how to play the ukulele. That's one thing I'd really like to do. I have a friend who's like become a really good singer-songwriter, and she does just awesome ukulele stuff. You don't sell it. It's a little quirky, and the amount of work I would have to do to make it user friendly would be enormous. It's not quite there yet. Not marketable yet. Maybe someday.
As a programmer, do you do mostly freelance stuff? Or do you like have a company that you work for? I don't really know much about like programmers and if they like how it normally works for them. You wouldn't bother selling it. Right now it's fun. Selling it would make it not fun anymore. No, that totally makes sense. When a hobby becomes a job, it becomes less enjoyable. I highly considered not getting another art ed job and trying to be a freelance artist. But then I realized that that would mean that I'd have to be painting all the time, and I love it now. Love doing it, and I would be concerned that I would end up not liking it as much if it was my job to have to do. I'd like to publish a children's book though. I have a children's book that I've been working on for a long time. And I'd really like to actually get there someday. Get it published. And I think I could still do art stuff and even when I'm teaching. At least I hope so. I've been teaching for 5 years. I can do it. New school this year, but I'll be still here doing art. I'd like to do a kind of animation incorporating my artwork with text poetry or some sort. Maybe a story using linked poems and music. Ah, that would be so neat. It really is hard sometimes though. It's hard to find them, like you have those ideas sitting in the back of your mind just like eating at ya. But life ends up kind of eating into that too. There's all the stuff you have to do. And then there's all the stuff that you want to do to relax. Like I like playing video games and just hanging out with my husband and cooking and hanging out with my nieces and friends. Yeah, easy to say and hard to conceive of. Yeah, totally. And hard to find the time to do. I found I was much more motivated when I was younger. I felt less pressure to do, you know. Now I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm old. No, I'm not still, there's definitely that thought process that's like, I have to be an adult. But you should do it. I think the idea of a cool artwork and animation poetry thing sounds pretty dang awesome. And you should just go it for it. Just do it! Right? All right, so like I'm noticing that I have to do quite a few layers for it to get really nice and like bright. Might just work directly from the pretty though. It is really pretty material. It does have like some really bright colors. Yeah. So that's definitely something that's a plus. It's very vivid colors, and it's definitely a plus for these. Um, they layer really nicely. And stay pretty bright. And I have a feeling I'll get a lot of uses out of them. And since they're water soluble, I'm gonna guess that like if I let this palette dry, I'd still be able to reactivate it. Which could be fun. I don't notice that big of a difference between like my reds. I kind of wish that I had a darker, like a deeper red. The vermilion is just not quite as orange as I would like it to be, and the Um, Carmine red is not quite as deep red as I like to use. I think I would probably prefer, if I were to buy this material, I don't think I would go with these 3 reds because they're so close to each other. I think I would probably end up choosing a different blue to go with it. And skip, like, either skip that or skip this one and keep the purple or red. Just because, yeah, I don't know. Having all of these seems like a little too much. So, especially when I want, like, I always struggle getting a really good green. And like I've mixed this green with yellow to create a little bit more of a color that I want to use. It's a little more natural. But I think I would probably end up going with a phthalo. I mean, I am a sucker for phthalo blue. So pretty much all the time I'll always be like, where's the phthalo blue? I do like how clean the lines can be with very little little paint on. It's got really clean colors. However, I noticed that you kind of push around a lot of the medium. So I don't know if I really like that aspect of it. And I can't really describe why I think like it's pushing it around. It's just like you can see some of the brush strokes pretty clearly when you're using a more of a dry brush technique, and I don't notice that necessarily as much when using like a tube. I guess I can do that with the I should do that with the brush pen here. I want to get some texture in the branch here. Okay. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'll probably touch this up again, but I need to get going. So here's what I've got so far. And so this is the from the May Paletteful Premiere Pack. So I got these aqua ink graphics, 8 different colors. The fine liner graphics that are water based. And I got this 6x8 mixed media paper. What I noticed about